Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, distinguished members of the royal family, and honorary members of the media. It is your boy Paul Briggs here with another episode of Paul's podcast. I, Paul Briggs, uh, bringing on people and that I find interesting and entertaining, and I think you guys might too. So today, joining with me is a dear friend of mine, uh, retired Chief Submariner David Gleaton. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, David is. I'm trying to think. We met. I'm trying to think how many years ago it's been. Oh, Jesus. Whew. Eh, I'm trying to remember how many years ago it's been. I
Yeah,
got
I'm trying
here.
to think too, because I retired in 17, so it was
Okay.
probably 2010-ish, right around in there. Because I
That
was coming in and out of I was stationed in Hawaii and Guam, and I was coming in and out like all the time,
uh,
just visiting.
okay. Because I want to say because I took over. I started at ODU. Started with the football side. 08. We started the first season 09. I want to say I took over the Monarch Media side. We created and took it over 2011, and I want to say I know I didn't meet you. Now, for ladies and gentlemen, main reason we're having them on today, our subject is college basketball, and Mr. Gleason is a diehard. Dave is a diehard Kentucky fan. Bluegrass is bluegrass can be, you know,
Yeah, I
and
bleed blue. Yeah.
this man bleeds blue. So we've had great conversations over the years on just college, Kentucky basketball, college basketball, and college collegiate sports, which we'll discuss in this podcast. And I want to say I know the title run. I did not. I know I didn't know you. The last title run, the Anthony Davis run. I know I didn't. I hadn't met you then because then I had you in my pathway.
Right.
So I want to say it had to been like
2014. That's
2014. I
yeah,
want to
that's when I
say that.
got stationed back here from Viet Guam. Yeah. So
Yeah, I want to say 2014 sounds about right.
yeah.
Um, 2014, yeah, because so that means that's been 10 years, a little over 10 years. Then, wow. Matter of fact, I think your daughter, yeah, because you had to go get her. I think or whatever you had to pick her up or something or whatever or yeah. So yeah, it had to been 2014, 2015. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
my yeah because yes, okay, wow. But daughter, yeah. So I was like, man. So with college basketball, and so David, like I said, die hard, die hard Kentucky fan. And it was just one of those things, man. It was this week being, of course, on February 1st, being Arkansas versus Kentucky. And one of the things that with David that I has been watching the podcast know this about me already. I was at Memphis um, for about 15 years in the city, worked for the athletic department for most of that time while I was there. And I had worked for Coach Cal for 3 years. And so, and Cal was currently the coach. And so we've always discussed, gave him some insight about, and the program is, yes, blue Sharpies. If you know about blue, always have a blue sharp of a marker with you. Always carry one with you at all times, like the different rules. Coach Howard had a cup of ice and Diet Coke. Uh, I think with lemon. I can't remember if he liked the lemon or not. Our football coach did, but have the Diet Coke, have the cup of ice. Do not pour the Diet Coke in the ice. Just have him sitting out there for him for practice and let him go. So all the nuance like that. But yeah, it just I want to know, Dave, what made you get into fall in love with Kentucky basketball? Is it that's where you were born and raised, or is that where?
So I grew up in Kentucky. My dad was in the army, and we moved. I was hatched in 1978, and we moved to Kentucky, or we went right after I was hatched. We went to Germany for 2 years, and then we moved back to Kentucky. My dad was in the army, and That's where I grew up. I grew up there from kindergarten and graduated there, even though he was in the Army for probably over half of that. Every time he transferred, we stayed. So Kentucky,
Oh,
oh, I know, like that's what it was. I grew up right at Fort Knox, which is about 40 miles south of Louisville, uh,
okay.
and I'm about 75 miles from Lexington. And I don't like Louisville, so had to go. You got to go with one of them when you're there, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
that's how that's all I've ever known is Kentucky basketball.
Yeah. Now I will say this. So Fort Knox, I want to. So I had a uncle. I want to say he was stationed in Fort Knox as well, but they retired. So they live in Radcliffe.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. That's where I graduated high school.
You Radcliffe? Okay. Oh God, I didn't know all these years. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I grew up right
they
out
live
right
in
there.
Radcliffe. They
Yep,
have a church in E Town, Elizabethtown, E Town. They
yep.
call it E Town. And so, and the thing about Radcliffe, ladies and gentlemen, for people, one of the things Radcliffe is very famous for, and I actually went and took a picture there, the five-way stop. They have the my uncle lives in the actual neighborhood where it's the only legal five-way stop like in all of America. Like they have is a actual thing. I was like a five-way stop. Like there is an actual five-way stop in the
When I
United
was
States.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, our football coach, he had a big backyard over at that five-way stop right in that neighborhood. So we were on there every day. Uh, so
Oh,
yeah, it was huge. Yeah,
yeah. So Ellen Drive. That's where my auntie stay on. So that's a wow, small world.
yeah, man.
Jesus,
That's my
Jesus.
stomping grounds. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know you. I'm sure if I got you on the phone with this, probably could talk all kind of folks like, hey, whatever happened to such and such? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they here.
absolutely.
Yeah, because all I'm trying to think. I think all four of my cousins, all four of their children, went to high school and graduated. Is it West Hardin County? West Hardin?
Yeah, North Hardin is where I
North.
graduated.
I
Yep.
all four of them. They have children. All of them graduated. Let me see. The oldest. The oldest is probably 30. I want to say she's like 34, 35. She's just turned 34, 30. And then the second 32, and on down. The youngest girl is like 25. So they have two boys, I know, yeah, two boys, two girls. So yeah, so chances are maybe some of the teachers.
Probably. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
don't know of I left a long time ago, like
right,
over
right,
20 years ago. Yeah.
right. But my uncle drives the school bus. He drives the
Okay.
school bus in their area, so he has that neighborhood. That so that's why I'm saying it's like I'm sure he probably who like I said it's you never know Carter. So yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Small world. Wow, man.
Yeah. That's where I grew up,
Wow,
man.
wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow, wow. Yeah, so you're gonna be one thing about Kentucky is one of those states that the few chances I had to go and visit, mainly because we was like Western Kentucky, but it seems like Western Kentucky gets the. It seems like a lot of states there's always pecking orders, especially major sports. And there's these pecking orders, so you have Kentucky. Kentucky is the one of the few states that I always mention, and it's kind of and it's true. It's about basketball first, then football second.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Like,
Yes. It's just like I don't think because it's like in all 40 states, skiing except for this Kentucky basketball. I don't care how good Mark Stoops and Kentucky do with the football team. They can go undefeated, no matter. All that I want to know when is Midnight Madness from BBN, the Big Blue Nation can show up. Where do you think all of this come from? Is it because it's Adolph Rupp? Is it because is Kentucky a lot like Indiana, where you have kids who grew up like their dream is to play basketball at Kentucky? What do you attribute that success to?
so for me, I think it was more of the traditions of bringing people in, right? The right pieces. I mean, you think about Pat Riley played in Kentucky, right? And look what he's gone on to do,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. But he isn't from Kentucky, right? He just kind of fit into the team, Rupp's
Mm-hmm.
runts and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
So a lot of it, I think, is like just the whole premise of playing for Kentucky. Cal did a great job. Kentucky sells itself. Duke sells itself. Kansas sells itself. Yeah, you have to want to come play there because it's also going to be rough, right? Because fans are just, like we're we're diabolical at best. Like if you're shooting well, man, you're the best person on there. Don't miss a rebound because that we're ready to throw you under the building and lock you away for like 4 years. Like
Is there for Kentucky? Is there another fan base you look at and be like, or Kentucky fans look at and be like, they are equal as far as the passion and the fervor that they have for their team? Do you think Kentucky's unmatched?
I don't think so because I think it's really regional, right? So if being that I've been all over the country and been all over the world, or where like I really think it's regional, right? Because uh, you got to think Gonzaga, like up there in the you know Northwest, man.
Yeah,
Like Gonzaga's like the best thing over to the West Coast Conference, except
yeah.
they don't have anybody. You know,
I've seen Gonzaga rise from literally rise from that. When Cal
bro.
would play Gonzaga when nobody would want to play Gonzaga, and I remember I I told this story. I think I might have told you this story before. I told it to listeners. It was before I started working for Cal, and I'm in the student section, and I had a car at the time, and so I brought some friends of mine, this is fellow dorm mates. We all at the game, and Gonzaga went lights out, and it was at Memphis. They went lights out first half. I want to say this was like a year or two after that first run, that first tournament run where they went to like the Elite Eight or Sweet 16 or something, and they were coming in, they was playing, and everybody in their starting five hit a three in the first half. And I remember the center was the person that had not shot a three. He was one of them guys, you know how they give it to him in the high post, at the top of the key or whatever. And he'll just hand off and then do the double screen, and
Yeah,
then try to roll to the basket, whatever. So, or sometimes they'll leave him open and he'll just hold the ball over his head and wouldn't even attempt to shoot. And I'm like, yeah, I ain't gonna let this ain't gonna shoot. But he would pass it off. And I remember they hit so many threes the first half. And I said out loud in the student section, if the center hits a three, I'm leaving. And here it is. They run their plays. It's 13 seconds left. They go run their plays, and the center's holding the ball, and it just basically sagged off of him. We got to double Dan Dick out, all them other cats, right? And so he just sits there holding the ball. He's at the top of the 3-point line, and the coaches are screaming at him to shoot. So he just goes ahead, hoists up the shot, goes in at the buzzer of the first
guess,
half. And everybody, me, I said, "Well, go."
guess I'm leaving.
I,
Yeah,
I went, but I went to my friends were like, "Hey, you're the ride." I said, "Look, no, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back." But I tried to play it off. I was so mad. I was
I
like, and I,
remember. I remember in the 1900s, man, when we'd print up the brackets, we'd be in high school, we'd have all our brackets printed up. And
mhm.
we're like, Gonzaga. Who is Gonzaga? And right, we didn't have the interwebs back then. Like we had to
Yeah,
we had to figure this out like hardcore. Like
yeah.
we were using encyclopedias trying to figure out what is Gonzaga. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man, this is 1900s, dude. Like, yeah.
Yes, for the younger kid. And there was a stretch of time where Gonzaga was the cheat code. Like if you knew, if you know, as the kids say, I was IYK. Like there
Yeah.
was like a 2 to 3 year stretch where you could like if you just knew about basketball, you could cheat until everybody knew about Gonzaga. I was like, all right, well, after
Right.
like the time, what's the boy that ended up playing for the Lakers and um
Oh
um
boy.
or the Adam Morrison. By the
Oh
time
yeah.
Morrison came on, after that it was like, all right, Gonzaga's
Oh
no
yeah.
longer. It's a household name now. You can't get by. You used to be Gonzaga was always one of them teams. They was like Tulsa. Tulsa had that run of just went from
Yeah.
like Nolan to like Bill Self to oh God, They had like a Billy Tubbs or something like that.
Well, Tulsa's like the VCU, right? VCU gets all these great coaches that are there for what, 30 minutes, and then they're gone on to the next program, you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
because everybody talk smart and understand because of the Sweet 16 run. I'm
The
no,
Final Four.
the Final Four
Yeah.
run that made the 2011. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but what I go back to is the coach before that, Anthony Grant.
Correct. Who
Yeah,
did nothing, who went to Alabama, and, you know, and then turned it
well, he did
around.
something. I'm talking about at VCU. So at
No, I'm with
VCU,
you. I'm with you.
got him the Alabama job, and then
Yep.
that flamed out, and then bounced around. Then ended up at Dayton. I still believe if they would have somehow could have got that tournament played off in 2020, I think Dayton, because Dayton was the number one team. They had 4 seniors, you know, with Obi Toppin.
There was 2 teams that got hosed out of that whole entire tournament. VCU being one because they canceled a game because somebody quote unquote had COVID, so they just instantly knocked them out. And then when they shut down that tournament, they completely hosed Dayton. They were going to win it. I'm telling you, they were the best team going into it, no doubt in my mind.
Dayton was it and showed, and the way I kind of wanted it for the city, because Dayton always had from a basketball standpoint how they would have the was it the first 4. And even if you didn't have a band or if you didn't have like people in the community would bring something, like they would do research on your team. Like one time they had like Texas A&M Corpus Christi. They learned based on the chants and everything. The Islanders. I was like, how did who? It's like, but
college fans, you gotta love it.
Right, which is why I wanted it so much for that fan base to have something of their own.
Yeah.
Say, hey, these folks from our city got a reward because of all. I was like, Dayton? Why Dayton? I still to this day don't understand how Dayton ended up getting the first 4 every year. But it's
because they play in the A10 and they only pick the winner. That's it. They say their conference isn't strong enough, right? I mean, you look at it, you I mean, there's good teams in there, right? The Bonnies, they either look good, you know, every now and then. Like
yes,
Duquesne. I don't think Duquesne's been like relevant in a while, or Duquesne, as I like to call them. Yeah.
But you had LaSalle and you know and Drexel. No, Drexel. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who's Drexel?
Yeah, so I know Drexel with the Big 5. But I would say because like even being in Philadelphia and basketball, it's like they love their Eagles, they love their Phillies, they love the Flyers and stuff like that. But when it separates down to, well, are you Temple? Are you Nova? Are you Jones? Are you are you Drexel? Or are you Penn? Because depending on what you say next is
correct.
I was like, how can the city be this divided? You know, it's just like even Richmond with VCU and Richmond, it's not that.
No, it's pretty blatant in Richmond, right? It's like VCU or Richmond, but like nobody doesn't really get up in arms. But man, you go to Philly.
I was like, oh, I'm like, this was different because it's it just. And then with fan bases, I would say the only other fans that I've seen as passionate, I know Carolina will always make claims, but for me, it's Kansas because you're in the middle of nowhere. And Kansas is more just Kansas. It's like you got people in Nebraska, you got people in Missouri, like really in that western half of the state. Oh, they Kansas, but they ain't Missouri Tigers fans.
Oh yeah. And Missouri's just starting to get relevant after what 25 years of just existing. Yeah.
So
Kansas is pretty good. Duke, the Dukes, and you know me, I really don't like Duke. Like,
but if you look at the way I look at it is this: when it comes, you have to have more coaches win the national title at school over a long period of time. So I mean, that's why I always kind of cut Duke and Carolina out because you take away Dean Smith and Krzyzewski, they don't have that much to stand on either school. But with Kentucky, I can name these 5 winning head coaches. Kansas, I can name these 4. You know, I mean, Right. So that's why I'm saying over that long period of time, it's like as far as people, you talking about salt in the earth, people, and what else was there to watch? Because Kansas had no proteins, Kentucky,
No
they didn't have
protein.
any proteins, no
Nope.
proteins. So it's like I think that all kind of helps, and I think Duke and Carolina kind of lost that when Charlotte, started getting, well, Raleigh got the Hurricanes, and
Well, I
Charlotte
mean,
got the Panthers,
but Duke being the intimate spot that it is, right? And only seating 6,200 or whatever, at Cameron
yeah,
Indoor.
they
You know,
claim 8,900. It's not no 8,900.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. What 6,200? But like, I get it, man. It's intimate, as I like to call it.
Yes, it
But
is.
I mean, I think they do themselves a disservice with that too. I mean, Rupp seats 24,000, but Rupp's also or we're under 24,000 now. They did a renovation, so we lost seats. Uh, but like Rupp's an old crowd. They're old, right? If you sit there and watch, you're going to see it on Saturday. Watch, we're talking the biggest game that's coming this Saturday, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Duke and North Carolina are playing. What was I thinking? But like, no, but
When you say old crowd, you mean as far as the average age of the people attending?
correct. Look at behind the benches. Look at your 50-yard lines per se, right? And then look at that whole span going up on both sides. If you see it, it's a relatively old crowd, right? So
Right,
look at Duke, where they put their student section right behind the benches, uh,
right.
right behind the scorers table. They are
Mm-hmm.
loud in your face. Rupp
Yeah,
is not that.
Ruff is not there. And
It's
you know what?
not that.
You bring up an interesting point. And this was right at the time we met. Um, this was, I want to say, it was Christmas of 2014. I remember my family was going to celebrate Christmas in Vegas, and I couldn't go. I was too broke. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough money to go. And I had friends of mine in the video business who all Duke, North Carolina, and NC State all had gotten bowl eligible. And so I called up the video coordinators, my fellow video coordinators. I said, "Hey, y'all gonna be going on bowls. Y'all playing that the last week of December, going into New Year's. Give me tickets. I want." So as a treat to myself, I did a tobacco road trip. Wake Forest was at home, and then Wake Forest was a little too far away, so I said, "I'm not gonna do Wake." So I did 4 games in 3 days. I did two at Carolina, one at Duke, NC State. Yeah, and it all fell nicely in this like little 4 or 5 day window. And I remember now one thing I did, and I would never do it again in it, was I did a Duke and Carolina game on the same night. I would never do that again just because the logistics, the travel. No, they're not that far. With
Yeah,
police, and I'm not a native of the area, so I had to figure out how to get to the parking lot. It was a mess.
yeah, I got you. I
I
got
would
you.
never do it. That was physically told. That's it. But to your point, with Duke, yes, it's like all the younger people sit down at the bottom. The older folks is at the top. They put us up at the top. If you're not
Hmm.
that one little section that's family, that's behind either bench or either team, you're sitting up at the top. That's where they're gonna put you at.
Right,
Which to me, that's why I say they say 8,900 because the students is going to stand. They're not the only time they sit is timeouts. That's it, and they
right,
know when time. They as far as intelligence, intelligence. I gotta give Duke credit because they understand. Now that being said, Carolina was like that old crowd that you mentioned because the thing is with Carolina is their students they have one little section behind the basket closest to the edge. That's it. Everywhere else is old people.
yep.
Everywhere
Money.
else is the buddy. Matter of fact, I didn't know in North Carolina if you become a season ticket holder X number of years, you can will your seats to the children, your descendants. So it stayed in the family. And then when I went in 2014, talked about changing the policy. And the board of regents was going to vote on it. And there was fans walking around with T-shirts saying, vote
Yeah. Boycott.
because
Yeah.
they were so. But some of it I get because it was like college basketball was getting to a space where it was like we need to find other ways to maximize. They're not going to build another ding dong. So what can we do with the one we got? Which is let's start getting the PSL licenses, and all of that stuff. Now you're paying for the right to buy. For
Well,
lack
but
of better
look at
term.
but you also got to look at the big shift now too. Basketball doesn't matter in the big picture of anything. Football reigns supreme. It doesn't matter about. I mean, look at UConn. Do you know UConn's football team is independent?
Yes, they're going to the MAC next season.
But do you know they're independent?
Yes,
UConn is independent
and
because they have nowhere to go to play football
right,
because
and
no
that's
one wants them.
and that's money that you just
But
shelling.
you know what I mean, though? Like,
Yes,
isn't that crazy?
yeah,
UConn, a major college, cannot get taken into a conference.
yeah.
So, so that's what I'm saying. We talk about domes, we talk about bringing in these atmospheres. Football is it, man. Uh,
Football. Do you think in Kentucky will there ever come a day where football overtakes basketball?
no, never, never, never,
Okay.
no chance. Look, I mean, I'm a diehard, Kentucky football fan. Also, like I do, me, I bleed blue,
Yeah.
but it'll never overtake basketball.
Okay.
They would have to win a natty like in football to even remotely even try to come, and that's probably going to be one time. I mean, they did win one time, like back in I don't even know 50s or something. Bear Bryant was the head coach, if that
Oh,
tells you anything.
wow. It seems like everywhere Ben Bryant goes, it's like that's be that school all time. Like I didn't know he had coached at Maryland at one point. We know
Yeah,
about Texas A&M and Alabama, but it seems like every Bryant ended up going. Okay, that's cool. That's the season ever. Oh, the Bear
I mean, he was all right.
Bryant. But my thing about Kentucky is, and even Cal at Memphis, he understood that football can be the tie that lift all the sports. If you have a good just football program, you can be a tie because it helps the ease of everything. Because to me, the way my uncle, the ones that live in Kentucky and what I've always gleaned from the nation and people there, it, if you was a diehard football fan, you were going to be a de facto Louisville fan, mainly because of football. And this is talking about 80s, 90s,
right,
early
right,
aughts.
right.
But if you really was into basketball, you can kind of say Louisville if you lived in Louisville. If you didn't live in Louisville, you were gonna be. It's almost like if you want to be a basketball fan, you go for Kentucky. If you want to be a football fan, go do Louisville. You know.
So the way I figured it out, like when I was growing up, is like my grandparents, they lived close to Lexington. So we were always up there or whatever. And they always had tickets to go watch basketball. And, they wouldn't take me back then because I was young and snotty and they didn't want to like a little kid running around, in that old money stuff at Rupp Arena, So,
Yeah.
but like where I grew up, Radcliffe, right? It's like I said, we're only 40 miles south of Louisville. It really just there was no rhyme or reason. Like I was a Kentucky fan, my brother was a Louisville fan. I don't know if that was just de facto or whatever it was, but like I'm just saying, like
Mhm.
so crazy. Yeah. Yeah, my dad was a Florida fan because he grew up in Florida. Yeah.
Okay. Now, my thing about Louisville, how did you, as a Kentucky, always wanted to ask this? I don't think I've asked. How did you feel? I'm bouncing, with the three topics that we had, but it's
Yeah.
all interweaving.
Yeah.
How did you feel when Louisville made the jump going to the ACC from a relevancy standpoint?
Well, I mean, they were Conference USA before that, right? So they were
Met before conference, yes. Then they went to the American. They
right.
left Memphis, yes. And then by the time they signed Memphis on to get into the American, they left to go to the ACC.
Right. See, so but once again, that was all football based, right?
Right.
And regional based. To me, I don't. It doesn't bother me whenever they bounce conferences, only if it makes sense, right? Uh, in Louisville going from, like I said, Conference USA wasn't bad. It was just
Right.
it wasn't a good football conference per se. It was a
Correct.
good basketball
No
conference
conference.
for them.
Yes. Yes.
But like football, it didn't do it. But what brings in the money? You sign with ACC, now you're getting $50 million a year just to be with them.
Well,
So we kind of get it, right?
yeah. Because
It doesn't hurt my soul. The things that does hurt my soul is like Big East going away. The rivalries that actually matter going away. That stuff hurts my soul. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you said rivalry, you talking as far as the football side or the basketball side?
Either or.
Either or. Okay, because I think Big East basketball, the renaissance they're having now with UConn being in its rightful place,
Right.
that run they made in America, and I'm saying this, is one of the more mythic people you'll meet. It's just that understanding the process and mindset. UConn women's basketball being in America, man, these babies was 169-0.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
11 years I think there was in America. I mean, why is it the fact that we could not get one woman, the closest they ever got was Dawn Staley when she was coach of Temple, got within 10.
Yeah.
She got within 10. And that's the closest loss they had the
But
entire time they was in America. And I was like, this.
One of the things we talk about every year in like college basketball, like the NCAA tournament, is misseeding, right? So you're talking about UConn being an American and going 163 and up. Like, man, you want to talk about misrepresentation of good? You know what I mean? That's just. I mean, I love your record. I got it. But whenever you're playing, nothing every week or every game, it just. I'm not taking anything away from them. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, though,
the imbalance was so stark. It was like it was just mind boggling. How I mean, I don't know. There was a stretch. Well, I don't know what was more. You hit when Cal hit Memphis the last years after the exodus of Louisville and Cincinnati and Marquette and DePaul and St. Louis and Charlotte the first time because Charlotte went add football and all. Oh my God! When it was bringing in South Florida and Tulsa and all the, I remember it was literally the Conference USA tournament was a Tiger Invitational. There was a 3-year stretch where we played Tulsa for the championship 3 years in a row when they had Jerome Jordan and Ben Uzo.
Okay, yeah, killing
Uzo.
it.
Yeah, Ben Uzo. Which I think Ben Uzo is like playing, I mean, like a coach overseas now or something like that. But it was just like, and Cal was every press conference after we beat somebody by 20, explaining why this team should be in the NCAA tournament as an at-large.
Right.
And it was like he did that. He had to do that in UMass, and then he had to do that. But see, this is what some of it with Cal. I think
he did that. He did that at SEC also because SEC hasn't always been good. Let's be honest.
Correct.
Yeah.
And for some of this stuff, it seems like some of this stuff. And again, as a man who worked for him, I'm sympathetic. But also on the flip end, some of this stuff, I don't think it was his fault. It wasn't his fault how the A-10 was set up. It was UMass and everybody and John Cheney talking about.
That was good basketball back then, buddy.
Yeah, that was good basketball. But I mean, but with UMass, he was just a cut above. But then to go to like with Conference USA, well, after the pro run, Conference USA and Memphis, and it was like Memphis. For me, Memphis, Cincinnati, and Louisville should have always stayed together. And just as far as the rivalries, the history, to this day, you have Memphis fans. For some of them, their favorite memory of being a Memphis Tiger was I think 84 was it 83, 85 or 83, where the automatic bids or whatever they had the whole thing with automatic bids before that really came to be a thing.
Yeah,
there was a situation happen where Memphis was going to be ineligible to win, will go to the NCAAs, but in the they beat Louisville in the championship game and prevented Louisville from going. So nobody ended up going for the conference. And to this day, they were so happy that they beat Louisville to win the conference, the tournament championship, and to keep Louisville out of the NCAA. It was like one day, like the hatred level was that strong. I
No, I
remember.
wouldn't, but no one gets revenue sharing either, you know. And you're
Right,
like,
there
oh
wasn't none
man,
of that.
yeah,
Yeah, man,
yeah,
they did.
like, oh man.
I remember when with Cincinnati, oh my God, Kenny Satterfield and them hit a game-winning shot. It was on my birthday, which we're recording, and we're doing this live. January 30th birthday is tomorrow, the 31st, and I remember on my birthday, Memphis was playing Cincinnati, and I had two of my little cousins with me. We're in the student section, and Memphis had not beaten Cincinnati in like years. It was like somewhere like 4 to 6 beat. They beaten them at Cincinnati and they beaten them in neutral sites, but they had home. It was one of those things because Cincinnati was nationally ranked, and I want to say Memphis we was not. And this was like after the whole. This was I want to say 01 or 02 because no, it couldn't have been that late. It had to have been like because the Kenya Martin year where they got hurt was like 99,000. That was the year, yeah, Kenya Martin and them came out. So I
Mhm.
want to say this was yeah, because my cousin left. They left in '98 the league. So anyway, we was gonna go storm the court. They were gonna go. We were gonna go storm the court if they have, and because we was at the pyramid, and we were gonna storm the court. Kenny Satterfield came down there and hit that shot, and we just like literally, you had the whole student body was about to storm the court. We were like, and we just stopped.
Well, that's the beauty of the sport, though. I mean,
Yeah,
it
that's
really is,
beautiful.
right? I
Yeah,
mean, what makes a tournament great? Day one and day two, like, just completely changes the whole aspect of an NCAA tournament, right? You
yeah,
got a 16 seed that knocks off a one. It seems to be like a 15 or seems to knock off a two almost every year, right? Like we're just now seeing 16s knock off ones. That
right.
first time it's ever happened, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Like you're going to go into this tournament,
Yeah,
the
5 years ago.
parity is going to be so crazy, right? Like they're going to have a 16 seed that's probably got 25 wins and probably has someone that's really really good. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like Kentucky's good, Duke is great, Kansas is great. There's not a great team out there right now. None.
Right, because UConn's been falling off. Now, for that, do you think how much of this, and this is where I'm leaving the conversation, Kentucky basketball, college basketball, collegiate sports, how much you think of that is tied to NIL, tied to the transfer portal, tied to the collectives, in the midst of
All of
all
it.
that arms race?
All of it. All of it. You're done seeing people go somewhere because they want to play somewhere. Like, would you okay, I don't want to say it that way. Um you're not going to get local talent at a school anymore ever, right? Look at Arkansas's NIL like fund right now, 7 million. They're paying 7 million to have people or to have people playing down there, and they can't even play together. Like they're so they're so I don't prima donnas. I'm just going to say whenever you get a bunch of top fives together or whatever top athletes, it's hard. Cal was able to do it at Kentucky for a while, right? Because once again, I think Kentucky, recruits itself, and there's a bigger reason to play. I hate to say it, Arkansas doesn't have that, right? You're going to Arkansas right now. You're going to play for Cal because you want to go to the NBA. That is the only reason you're going there.
What?
You're not going there for tradition. Kentucky had that. You're not going there to hang another banner or this drive for 9 or whatever to put yourself in in the history books of a great program. So it's totally different. It is 1,000% different. Look at do these kids now, they're like, yeah, for me to come there, I'm not going to practice on Thursdays and Fridays. I want that in my contract. And you're like, what? You, you, what do you mean your contract? Why do we even call it like student athletes anymore? Why are we
Yeah,
still on that sham? They're not student athletes.
yeah, it's the paradigm has changed so much. I just
Well, we knew
I,
we knew it was a
I don't
sham before, but like
yeah,
now it's a real sham, right? It's in
yeah,
front of
it's
your
like it's
face
so out of
sham.
the
Yeah.
like even when I look at a school like Old Dominion, like right
Right.
now mid major, and I know they've been having some struggles of late, but then again
Mhm.
they've kind of picked up a couple wins. They struggled early out the gate, but
Right.
now they picked up some wins. And I had somebody ask me what were my thoughts on the team was. And my thing is they only brought back like three guys. There's only three guys, two was there who was there last. And all those guys, only two of them, one of them is playing. Because one guy had a medical issue, so he's out for the year. And the other one got injured like November, in the first month of the season, and he hadn't been
Yep.
back. So really, it's just one guy out there in the rotation. And the thing
Yep.
is, I will from man 1 through man 12, I don't think Old Dominion has had a more skilled roster in their history. And I'm saying that as somebody who's been at the school 15 years. Man, from as far as their skill and their talent, from man's 1 to 12. The
Right.
problem is because the IQ, they don't know how to play the game together because part of the chemistry and cohesion is being able to play together, playing in the summer, playing rec ball, playing in the off season, playing against other schools on your own time. You know,
We are at a 351 team NBA lineup right now, right? All these coaches are trying to get all these dudes that they're paying to play together. That is exactly what is
uh,
happening right now. And can you imagine the jealousy of college kids? They're like, "What do you mean you got paid $1 million to come here? I only made 200,000." Like, and a lot of it's all public record too. So it's not like
right,
you're hiding it. You're not hiding. You're not
right.
doing this. Yeah.
Now, I
So
like the approach that some schools have taken with some of the, and I like BYU or whatever, how it is. Oh, well, we're gonna give everybody equal. Okay, well, some of the deals they like all linemen get. Oh, okay, all right. They're trying to be creative, but it's to try to stamp out some of the jealousy. But some stuff I kind of get it. That I'm like for example, we know next year revenue sharing goes into effect.
correct.
And with the house settlement and all that, which to me is I lead to the demise of this. I think it's gonna make stuff very dicey. For the smaller
It's
conference.
already dicey.
I mean,
Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, some of them you talking about the thin sheet of ice,
Paul, 2 years ago we had the Power Five. We don't even have that now.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Two
And
years ago.
if you would have told me 2 years ago that the Pac-10 or Pac whatever would no
Yeah.
longer exist, if I
Pac
had
no
to pick
exist. Yeah.
if I had to pick 2 years ago who I thought was dead man walking, it was the Big 12. We've had this conversation. We
right.
thought it was the
Right.
Big 12. We were like, man, the Big
Yes.
12, they ain't gonna get nobody. Texas, Oklahoma gonna lead to go to the SEC. They
Correct.
did the right. And how that big Brett York, whatever York, I forgot what Brett's last name is. Um, how he was able just to turn that thing around and be, oh my God. And then now they're at a position of strength. You got the
Right.
ACC, now I don't know if you heard today about the grants of rights, about it came out about so the Mountain West got confirmation from all the schools that they're going to have going forward after because this next season coming is going to be the last one. But from 2026 to 2032, they got full grants of rights for all the other schools that's going to remain. Because I think like Air Force and UNLV and a few schools is going the Pac, whatever they're going to call. And because the Pac-12 is the Pac is looking for one school, so because they have to get one more school, they have the minimum of 8. I think they have to have in order to keep their um, champion status for eligible for bowls. So I know Memphis was one they looked at, North Texas, they let that all go out. it's just that it's just such with this revenue sharing. I think that is what's going to be the new tipping point because you have for the bigger conferences they agreed $20.5 million. You can use up to 75% of it for football, and then you can use another 15% for basketball. So which
Yeah,
means the
but
other sports will get 10%. They got to
yeah,
over.
listen to the breakdown of that.
Right.
75% for football?
Yes. And I had did the math.
75%. Yeah.
So 75%. So if you took 20, I had did the math earlier, but I'll do it again here. So 20 point five, let's see, point 75. Oh, no, wait a minute. Hold on. So that's roughly 15 million. Let's just say 15 million. It's like 15 million um for football that you can use for football. If you take out of that 15 million and you take the 85 student athletes on scholarship, that comes out to be
Well, they increase scholarships too. Like there's no more walk-ons because of revenue sharing. You have to be able to be paid. There's no more.
so they're gonna get rid of the walking. So because I know as of right
Right.
now there's 85 on 85 scholarships. And what will
Oh
the
no,
number
no,
go
no.
to? 120?
115 or something like that.
Okay.
For
Be-
all sports, there will not be any more walk-ons. Everyone will be paid because of revenue sharing.
Because of revenue share. Okay, so that
Correct.
would because if you just did the 85 that you had currently, that'd be 176,471 no $70 and 59 per person.
That's
If you kept
more
it at
money to play college football than like anybody in my whole entire family makes.
dude, you're now getting in. Now I know. I mean, the NFL, you got what you call it, what you call it, scout team. Scout team getting a
Right.
little bit more. Scout getting about 60, 70 something grand a week. You know, so but it's like this.
Well,
This is
Paul, let's look at it this way. How do you think this is going to impact the NBA? Because I feel like this is about to greatly impact the NBA. Why would I leave making $1 million a year in college to go to the league minimum for 4 years before I can get out of my rookie contract? Same with football, right? How you're going to make more money in college,
right.
and you don't have to pay for anything.
What?
You get
Well, you
free
still have
room
to
and
pay tax.
board.
You still have
Oh,
to pay tax.
oh,
That's the
shooty
one.
pooty. Yeah, but you don't have to buy a house. You don't have to. You know what I mean? Like,
Correct. Correct.
yeah. Hold on. So you're telling me I get to live scot free and then like collect all this? Dude, sign me up. I'd be
Yeah.
there right now. Hell, I'll
Yeah.
be a ball boy.
So it's now I think the NBA will be a little bit different than some of these other sports, and this is why I say I think the NBA will be different because the NBA in switching this mode is also trying to they're looking at repealing the 1 year in college, go back to the high school gyms, which is if you're going to go back and do the high school gym thing again, then let the truly elite of the elite. Now, to me, that would hurt more than G League overtime elite program. You know, the
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
with the Thompson twins and all that. You know, all these
Yeah.
other schools,
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. You know, we never seen them put on a college uniform.
Correct.
Do we acknowledge their existence? What?
No.
But
No.
it's then fine. Let the ones that want to go, and then let the ones that want to go to college go because it's only
Well,
still going to be 13 lottery picks.
so this
Especially
is
basketball.
yeah, but you're talking. We'll say what? There's 391 teams, Division One, just
It's
Division One,
353.
353, whatever it is. Right, 353. 60 people go to the NBA. 60
Right.
people get drafted.
Right. And that's out of the world. We ain't even talking about all
60.
these international cats. They didn't
Right,
even,
right. 60 people. Yes.
yes.
So,
There's only 500 jobs every year.
dude, it's ridiculous, right? The I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like the NBA, it's already a bad product anyway, right? People are just going there for money. I get it.
Right.
I mean, let's just be honest. There's no defense. Nobody's heard of it. Never seen it. I don't even know why they have a defensive player of the year. That makes me chuckle. Yeah, they only allowed 148 points this game. Woo! Defense. Yeah. Uh, no. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of this, like the money, is ruining a lot of the sport. It is the sports are going to go away. My biggest thing is like if you're going to pay these people to be there, they should have to sign contracts. And I'm a firm believer, right? Because they are getting educated, quote unquote. They are
Right.
getting something that the general masses cannot get, which is educated. Um, so if I'm paying you $1 million to come here, I feel like you should sign at least a 3-year contract because you can get a degree in 3 years. So I would say minimum 3 years, 3-year contract.
Mhm.
And if you leave, you pay penalties. And I think now there should be. I didn't kind of agree with it before the year sit out period if you transferred, but now I do, right? Uh, because now you're chasing dollars, right? In the job market, in the real job market, right? You can see that whenever you're hiring people or whatever, they'll be like, "Hey, you've been in this job for 3 months, and then we
Right.
posted this job, and it's what? Well, why are you coming over here? Oh, it's better opportunity. Oh, you're chasing money, right? It's
Right.
like that's kind of what I'm saying. Um, so I feel like we need to get this under wraps really quick before this gets out of control. And it is about to get out of control. Bad.
I would say this is the other thing I would say. I the player sending out thing. I'm feeling queasy about it because there's also situations that you have. Like for example, one that kind of hit close to home, um, because she's an active player, so I can't quite say her name
No, I
or
got you. I
but
got you. Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah. Keep it vague, baby. Keep
yeah,
it
I had
vague.
to keep it vague.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a player that I knew that got dropped the day before the transfer portal got closed. Her got told your scholarship is not going to be renewed. And so now she had to go and try to find somewhere else to play with literally less than a day to go. So, like I said,
Well,
in that case, because then to the point, who is releasing you? You see what I'm
okay.
saying?
Okay.
If you get
No,
released
I'm
by a coach or a program, then I feel like that should, as a student, should not count against you. Because if everything's going to
okay.
be 1 year, that's
I
where it.
will I will concede your point, and I will fully support what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm
because
just
it was
saying
like
there's got to be checks and balances for the masses that are chasing the Maserati.
right.
I'm just saying,
Which
like,
they,
unfortunately, she wasn't chasing the Maserati. She got
no, no,
booted
no, no, no,
out of the
no, no, no.
car. You
It
know what I
was
mean? Like,
more of a low to mid level
I got you. Like,
division is in the 200s. You know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's real because you have coaches that's trying to climb the ladder themselves, and like some of them like, oh, well, I was able to get to a bigger job, so now I'm going to bring the talent that I know with me, and it's like, and then you see what I'm saying, and even that's kind of a little different because you're now more so because again, the new coach can come in and say, you I didn't recruit you. I don't want you here. And then just drop you. Or if I'm a student athlete and I know my coach done left and went to this other school, and like Cal, what you saw with Taro or with DJ Wagner, and Cal wants them to come with them, it's like, I'm going to go with him. You know what I'm saying? At least you know you have home. And for those students, it's kind of like, you see what it's like? It's so
Yeah.
many just, it's like,
But
but we
but
have
right
to
now
have some
when
kind
we're
of
talking
handle on
we're talking the money aspect. Like we're not really deep into the money aspect yet. I mean we are, don't get me wrong,
it. Right.
but we're not deep into it yet because now we're about to go to revenue share. We're about to get into man, people are guaranteed money to have a pulse to show up. You know what I mean? That's kind of what's going on.
Now
So
you got the issue with Wisconsin. I don't know if you heard about with Wisconsin.
more but let me bring you my point. So how about instead of like making them sit out, how about if you sign a 3-year contract and you leave early, you pay 2 years of tuition for a student, a no kidding student. Like that's your fine to leave.
It's
The
not the
people that
most
are really
trouble.
there to get educated, Yeah, yeah.
So it goes into the university general fund, something like that, or
Well,
whatever.
okay, look, listen, like I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm kind of bitter, right? I'm about to send my kid off to college. She's gonna go to college in what, 5 months, 6 months from now?
Yeah.
And like here I am, I'm about to go broke and eat ramen noodle for the next 6 years while she's in pharmacy school, while some dude's throwing a ball through a hoop getting paid $1 million a week.
Mhm. It's okay.
Uh,
But then again, like this, but you ain't got 20,000 people showing up at Rupp Arena to watch the chemistry class. The chemistry.
I totally agree with that, but I don't have CVS able to like start up an NIL deal either. Like, so, maybe we're doing this wrong. We're just focused in the wrong areas.
Yes, it's just like some of this. It's just, and then you have other schools where
Yeah,
you had. And this is where okay, for me, the one place now I've always said for people, it's about the academics and no, it's about video and money. Where can we be seen? And what do we get paid? The only I would allow for the longest to say academics was Ivy League, just because of the way the structure was. But
right.
even now it's kind of like, even Ivy League is kind of like,
Yeah, don't even try. Yeah.
so, but
What do you?
I feel like, to your point, the fact that having to sponsor some students, there has to be some academic component to it else, we're just glorified G League team. We're just a glorified 353 amateur G League.
Well, think
So
about basketball though. Basketball. So Kentucky. I mean, like we're the king of one and dones, man. Cal has got it. He had it figured out. Those guys came in, right? They came in for the fall semester and they were out in the spring semester. You know what you had to do? You had to pass 3 classes and then you were gone.
you know what gets me? I've seen more of the Kentucky guys rep Kentucky well after they get in the NBA than I have seen as a Kentucky fan. How does that make you feel? Because it's like they love repping the fact they went to Kentucky, but like you said, dude, it was only on campus
Yeah,
5 months.
so congratulations, man. You helped pay for the parking garage that went up, man. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Like
okay,
you
okay.
helped with the renovations to Commonwealth Stadium. I'm sorry, Kroger Stadium now. Thanks, man. Like
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
What are you repping, right? If you got a degree, I kind of get it. And I understand. Look, man, I don't have a degree from Kentucky, but I'm still a Kentucky fan. I got it.
Yeah.
I just got a degree from ODU.
Well,
ODD.
it's still one of the 353, so it counts. It all
Yeah,
counts.
but I'm just saying, like, this is where my heartache with Cal comes in, and this. Like, Cal did great for us, but Cal is horrible also for any program because he doesn't care about the program. He cares about getting those people to the next league. That's what he cares. He even said it when he went to Arkansas. And everybody facepalmed like, oh my God, why'd you say that? That's why you just left there. They hated you. That's what he does, man.
Yeah, I like I said for Cal, it's just the ride that I went on, and the short span I was there, it was just like, and I think I had mentioned this before, the TBT tournament,
Yep.
which, truth be told, Big Blue Nation should have a killer team.
Yeah.
Because all these dudes, now granted, with Cal, most of these dudes, this is where I think it's kind of the gap. Because Cal done got these dudes in the league, like just almost all these dudes is getting in the league. So there ain't that many that did, or at least playing overseas or somewhere. But it's like you would think as an alumni team, oh man, you can't tell me.
Well, they're all still in the league because they only played 30 games like before that. Because they only did one season.
Well, but it's just, but
Yeah.
I remember. So I was in Richmond, and Richmond was one of the nights, and I had 2 games I was doing back to back. First game had Memphis alumni team, and the second one, I forgot the name. Everybody have like cute names like Best
Yeah.
Virginia or Heard That, which I think, even though I can't stand Marshall, I think they got the coolest alumni nickname. Heard
Right? You
That.
got to give kudos.
No,
Yeah.
I
You
heard
got to.
that. Okay, I heard that. Best Virginia heard that. Okay, you know, and and then the ODU one was playing right after that. And I remember, and it was like, I remember telling my dad, I said, Dad, I got 20 years of history that I've done and people I've worked with in a 4 hour period on this court. And the Memphis game, it was like, even though, again, Elite Eights, Final Four run, all that, we may have did more things in the basketball world. These was where the players, it was kind of like, I'm just accessory. I'm just happen to be there. It was one of those things that where it was, and then seeing you on the street, it was kind of like, they might, they might not. Um, because even after the game, I walked up to some of them had not seen me in 20 some years,
Yeah.
15 years. And it was like, hey, because again, I'm gonna be honest, in our industry, especially for natives, there are many of us that are minorities at all. So just the fact that we was just even there, you just stick out. So it was like, yeah, whatever happened to you? Well, because a lot of them thought I went with Cal. No, I left the year before to go to Old Dominion before the Cal crew went um to Kentucky. So those things, man, it was just like, yeah, it was sad. Whereas the Old Dominion game, after it was over, players invited me in the locker room. The players come
Yeah.
with us, and stuff like that. Even though these guys did not in the NCAA basketball world or maybe even the pro world got to do as much stuff, in their careers, in a lot sooner than they would have liked as well. But as people, I'm taking all that. Like they would be the cats where they would go overseas and play, and they
Well,
would
that's
come over and they would stop by my office and be like, "Briggs,
yeah.
I just want to
Well,
say thank you, man, because of that highlight tape that you made for me, I was able to feed my family, be able to provide for my family, feed
yeah,
for my
yeah.
family, but at least, and I just want to say thank you."
Well, that's what I think that's another, one of those things, like I did 20 years on submarines. We're a tight knit group.
Mm.
Believe it or not. Small world too. Small, very, very, very small. Right. But in the same sense, like we are a tight knit group, and I feel like major programs with major stars, quote unquote, are not that way. Just kind of like what you're explaining, right? The the smaller schools appreciate what you do, man. You're
Yeah,
part of them. You're
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to see them come back, like say Alumni Day or Old Timers Day or whatever, just see them walk the court and the crowd again. That's why I think with a lot of these kids going to chase the bag, you'll go missing because it's like, when I am a legend here, that people are happy to see you walk in. Like, again, from a pro basketball standpoint or just a basketball standpoint, I think Kevin Durant is one of the most skilled players that has ever touched the basketball. But where I'm going to say he is a legend at, I almost can only
Texas.
right
One
is
year.
Texas.
Yeah. One
1 year.
year.
He did one
Yeah.
year at Texas, but he went to what, 4 different high schools or 5 different high schools
Yeah.
in
Still.
four
Yeah.
years.
The AAU circuit. You know what I
The
mean?
AA
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's just that, and then and look at his career. Who is going to hang Kevin Durant's jersey up in? I might could argue OKC. If they had won the title on OKC, I'm going to say it would have been definitively OKC. But really, because of how he bounced around with his career, we're going to legitimately say that unless he tends to get a title. I mean, he still got time for the story written. If he happens
Yeah.
to win with Phoenix or whatever here, okay, Phoenix might get him because Phoenix has been so starved for years. They've had all them years with Barkley and all them where they've gotten close and not quite gotten over the hump.
Right.
But if it's like, dude, you basketball, you something to wear, and now at Old Dominion, especially with the football
But
team,
do you think they care about legacy though? Like I'm
I
being honest, especially
okay,
today's age, right? Or today, right?
I think at the end of the day, no matter how great as an athlete you are, you do not want to be forgotten. Greats
You
number
would
one.
hope so, right? I
Because
mean,
even Jordan, remember how Jordan said
no,
part
but
of
why are you doing it then?
Jordan said his thing was part of the reason why they did the what was it, the last dance thing. He said that what Pete did this mind and said, okay, let's go ahead and he said I'm watching them talk about Tom, but it was the Brady, I think Mahomes. He said, I'm seeing people sitting up there debating. And people forgot about Joe Montana. He went 4-0 and he never, and all that. He said, if they're gonna forget him, and he's one of the best to do it, I know they're gonna forget me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
his thing was doing it. Now, of course, you had the pandemic and all that. So when they released it, they were gonna release it anyway. But with the pandemic helping, now people had nothing else to watch. So now you have and then for some younger people, some of my younger cousins, they now got to see Michael Jordan again from a lens that because they never got to see him play.
Yeah. They
You
only heard
know,
about him.
they
Yeah.
only heard about him. So like now
But
you get to see why Kobe and Vince,
but I
all these other dudes played the bite. You know, it's like,
yeah, but I
oh,
also think today is different too. Like nobody not everybody got to see Jordan play, right? Like we
right,
had regional TV back then. You
right,
had one game of the week on TNT, I think it was, uh back in the 80s and 90s, right? The finals were
there wasn't no delay
on
by then.
NB.
There was no
Yeah, but they were
NBC by that point, that run.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like that was so that's whatever it got to there, or whatever. I'm just saying we didn't not every game was televised. Not everybody had a phone in their hand. Like, so
Right.
people didn't, I- if they didn't see it,
Now,
they didn't know.
now
Right.
let me ask you this: I know WG, and the reason why I know there's a lot of Cubs fans and a lot of Braves fans, especially in our generation,
Mhm.
because the Cubs was on WGN and the Braves was on TBS.
TBS.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing a lot of games of Chicago Bulls on WGN. There was some. There
Or,
was some. But
right.
I
But like,
don't remember.
but
You
you
would
know,
have
like
thought.
every game, every home game should have been on there, but that wasn't the way of TV back then.
Right.
I mean, we're in a totally different landscape than we were, back in those days.
I would argue, I think I remember seeing more Blackhawks as a kid on WGN. But did I say,
Probably.
I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
but I
Yeah.
remember for TBS, it was about them Hawks. We got
Yeah.
to see, I saw more Hawk games than probably any, I don't know, I think I might have caught up
I,
now, like up until probably the age of 25, 30 years old. Most of the NBA games I've ever seen was the Hawks game. So TBS, and then of course Fox Sports South when
Yeah,
that
I think I
became a thing. And
remember. I think I remember more of. It was just like it was almost like once again L.A. and Boston. That's what I kind of remember. It was
correct,
like what was shoved down your throat on Saturdays, and
yeah.
like I'm just. It was rare to see other teams.
And
Is
the
what I was
Hawks was
getting at.
like,
Yeah,
okay, random Tuesday night, The Hawks are playing
right.
the Clippers,
And
you
no one
know.
cared. No one
Right.
cared. They were like,
Like
"Who?" Yeah,
With Pooh Richardson and Lloyd Ball, they're
yeah,
looking
yeah.
for help.
Yeah. I
I,
remember, dude. Yeah.
it's just like that's why it's like I think from going back to your question, I think what basketball is I think basketball, if the NBA goes through with the counter of going back to the high school gyms, I can see where some players will stay longer. Now, a pet project that is near and dear to my heart, I can't even say pet project, but something like PIT, the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament here.
Okay.
I It will help because, like you said, you're gonna have some players done wised up now. Look at who just been the league MVP for the last 5 years. Have we had an American League MVP in the now? I know Joel Embiid is an American citizen, but by de facto, we still look at him as a overseas player.
Oh.
In the last 5 years, we hadn't had an American League MVP, and now I think the kids are smarter now. Because I remember working with Cal, and we knew that okay, everybody's not going to be a lottery pick. Tell these kids to be a lottery pick just to get folks to come out. GMs were saying, but yet these kids will slide. Cal will slide. And you end up sliding to the back end of the draft because what you have is these unnamed GMs that will know that if you're not a lottery pick, you're not going to try to leave. So they'll say, yeah, this guy, he's a lottery pick, lottery pick. And then go up there, stay in the draft, they're not going to be a lottery pick. I can tell you one person that happened to Quintel Woods.
Mhm.
Quintel Woods, back in 2002, 2003, or whatever, was signed to come to Memphis. He was the JUCO Player of the Year, National Player of the Year. And there was an unnamed GM that kept saying Quintel Woods is going to be a lottery pick. Quintel Woods is going to be a lottery pick. And Quintel told us, he said, look, I got to take the money. I got to go. And only to find out Quintel hit all the way down to like 27th in the draft. And he ended up on Portland. And the GM at Portland at the time admitted I was the unnamed GM that and he knew if Quintel did not stay in the draft, they wouldn't got a chance to get him because you know what I'm saying? Because he
Yeah,
would have just played for Memphis, and then to stop, God knows. And
right.
I sit there, and the same thing with Kendrick Perkins. He went in that same draft. We had signed Kendrick. I still tell people I think one of the best teams that never was the 2002 2003 Tigers because you had Kendrick Perkins. I'm just going on people they had signed.
Yeah,
You had Kendrick Perkins in the starting center. We had Amari Stoudemire, who we had signed, and Nike sent a cease and desist letter to the office because George Raveling, his mama took $500 from George Raveling for bail money. I remember that clearly, and I was in the office the day we got the letter. I was like, "What?"
for
So
bail
that,
money. Yeah,
yeah, but his mama took bail money, not him.
yeah,
His mama took bail money, five
yeah.
hundred dollars for some misdemeanor or whatever. But because George Raveling was a Nike guy, all that, so
Right.
the NCAA could just hammer you like that back then. So Amari
Oh,
Stoudemire would have been the power forward. The small forward would have been Quintel Woods. The shooting guard, Dewan Wagner, would have came back for another season. Because this was the year after, because it's 1 year he was there, he led us to the NIT championship. And then you had Antonio Burks, who was the point guard, who ended up playing for the Detroit Pistons for like, but he was our best player. He was the only person that ended up returning from that team. He would have been the point guard. And I tell people, I was like, if you look at that team would have been killer. But it was just that Quintel got caught in the slide, as Cal used to call it the slide. Quintel got caught in the slide, and Washington, another one, caught in the slide. Washington Jr. Yes, him of the soul and yeah, collapsing. Which that was such a tough moment. But I remember sitting there filming, and when he missed it, and I sat there, cut the camera off, season complete. As they say in USA Today, they would put season complete.
yeah.
See, that's the most cold words ever. When you look at complete, it's like I kid you not. That's the coldest words in college basketball. But man, it was just seeing them, and then I remember seeing Francisco Garcia and I think it was Silva or Siva.
Yeah, went to
Um,
Louisville, right? Yeah.
yeah, and they went and they picked them up off the floor. Not any of our teammates or whatever, them two. And
Mhm.
I'll never forget that because Francisco Garcia and of course Louisville ended up making a good run in that tournament, and stuff. And it's just like, but that's what I'm saying. The fervor. And I remember that game was 10:35 in the morning East Coast time, which means it was 9:35 in the morning because we was the first game on championship Saturday. I was just like, Lord, this is why in the world we playing before noon. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Cal never did
ridiculous.
like playing before noon. He said it's whatever team is. We played like 7 o'clock at night the night before. Now you got to turn around championship game. It's like 10:35 in the morning. Like what?
So, so at what point do you think Cal started like? So he disregarded the SEC tournament. He could care less about the SEC tournament, right? It became abundantly clear later on in his
Yeah.
tenure there, and you're like, how did that even start to come about, man? You know, like
I think with the SEC in the case of the SEC tournament, especially after so Cal is a very process oriented uh, um, guy. So it was kind of like, all right, non-conference schedule because you looked at all of it as one big schedule. Non-conference, we'll try to play some tough, whatever, but we'll try to stay the course until we get to what we call Camp Cal, which was always the last 2 weeks in December. Because school
right,
is out, we'll play one game at home in the middle, but we're gonna go 2 a days. We're gonna just push. We're gonna implement most of the playbook, and then take conference, be the best team in the conference, be nearly undefeated, get the number one seed, win the conference tournament. So that way, that gives us the best possible seeding for the NCAA tournament. Because with Cal, if you look, even the later Memphis, Eric Evans, with the Derrick Rose year, of course, I would say from Darius Washington on, when we had the year with Sean Banks, and we played, I think it was Oklahoma State, and Isaac, um,
Ooh.
Oh God, what was Isaac's last
All
name?
I remember Oklahoma State is big country. Like,
Well, no. Well, you had the John Lucas the third team as well.
yeah. But like
Yes,
that's
and
what,
then
but I just remember big country from no,
big
Oklahoma. That was
that
Oklahoma.
that
My bad.
Final
Yeah.
Four team.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. No, it was not. Was it Iowa State? Not Oklahoma State. It was one year we played Oklahoma State. We lost, and then one year we played Arizona. Uh, It was Isaac Austin. Oh my God, we lost
Oh,
to
okay.
them.
Yeah.
But anyway, now it was now about okay, winning the conference to give us better chance for seeding. Because now he started carping about the last 3 or 4 years. You notice he started chirping about seeding. So his thing is going into the SEC. Again, the SEC top to bottom was better than Conference USA. Great. But his thing was, all right, the SEC, they have to give us a number one seed. But then after the Anthony Davis year, I would say it was probably starting with the Carl Anthony Towns year. You notice that wasn't now the SEC. It was kind of like, well, just because SEC doesn't mean you're going to get a number one seed. Or you can still do
Well,
and lose and still get the number one seed. So now it's like now that kind of negates the need and the schedule of okay, us having to win the tournament to ensure the NCAA seed, whatever's going to best be the NCAA. So that's where it was kind of like where the losing the SEC didn't mean because it's like if that's not going to affect what our national seed is, I'd rather care about that than what we do in the SEC tournament. And you definitely saw that the last half dozen
10
years.
years. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, that's what I'm saying. But like, at what point, as what this is kind of where he lost the fan base. So this is where, this is being honest. Like when you
Because
say
I
you
think for
don't
the fan
care about
base,
it, yeah,
well,
we
I
care.
think for the fan base, they looked at okay. Now the pressure is to put on Cal is to win national titles. Okay, great. But I think for the fan base, they know they're getting that is winning the SEC should be a default if
Correct.
we go titles.
Right.
It's almost akin to Ohio State.
Well,
Football, and
but
I'll
it's
use them.
also no, but it's also like that's your indication that you guys are clicking, right? So the SEC
Correct.
tournament's a daily tournament, boom, 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 right? And we
Right.
get to see what the product is about to be in the tournament, right?
Correct.
And then every time that he's been knocked out, like he hasn't done well in the tournament. So you know what I mean? Like it's kind of one of those things that I was saying. It's like
It's kind of like the Cal model. If I'm going to use a football, now, it's
mhm.
actually what happened this past college football season last week, the
Yep.
week before. Ohio State is going to be happy that they won the national championship. We ain't won one in 2015. But if you really look at it, they're not going to be the thrillers because they did not win the conference and they lost to Michigan.
Well,
but they won the national title.
I was going to say, I think I could forgive you for not winning the SEC championship if you win the Natty.
But it's just that they would have felt more prouder because if you look at some of them other Ohio State championship teams, especially in the case of Kentucky basketball, the 96, 98 teams, they blew through everybody in the SEC tournament. They blew through. You see when no steps. You see what I'm saying? It's like,
oh, I'm with you.
So that's why it's like, I mean, it's 18 to 22-year-olds that just try to get these votes.
Well, look at it this way.
Generations go, but
Cal, to be able to make the tournament this year, has to win the SEC tournament. So do you think he's going to feel different about it?
He will feel different because of the way Arkansas is set up. Because
no, this is what he set up. Like, remember, this is kind of what we've been seeing at Kentucky too.
Yeah.
You're like, man, you can recruit, man. Congratulations, but they can't play. Right? There's a difference. And it's not a knock on the players. It's really not. There's a system that gets set up. There's like people got to drop some, some I'm the best. Ego's got to go out the door at some point.
At some point.
And right now Arkansas is not doing it. Which we've seen at Kentucky too. We've seen it.
But ladies and gentlemen, for those that would like to know, that game will be Saturday, February 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, which ESPN got that game. I'm shocked. ESPN. I thought that game would clearly been like CBS. So,
So CBS is out of the SEC. They have no more.
Yeah, that's right. They have no more. They
They
have
have
no
no
more.
So it's only ESPN.
Okay, so that well, at least
So,
I would
so
even cheated
let's
it to
talk
put it on
about the.
ABC.
Oh, I'm with you, but like there's probably Sound of Music's on or something at that point. So I I just
They're going up
say
head to head
it's
with the
weird.
Royal Rumble
Well,
as the
but
rest
it's
of the
like
guys.
but College Game Day is going to Duke, North Carolina. Why?
It's the same day.
Yeah, they've got the 7 o'clock game or a 6 o'clock game or something. Yeah, but they're going to Duke, North Carolina. So the reason I bring this up
Wait,
is Duke, North Carolina are going to play again in another couple weeks.
right,
Right?
right.
Kentucky and Arkansas are going to play one time.
And that's it. Now
Yeah.
let me ask you this: this Duke Carolina game, where is this game at? Is it at Duke? Or
Doesn't matter. North Carolina, it like is worse than ODU right now.
Mm-mm.
I'm just saying that. No, I just put it in perspective, right? They have a worse record, all of it. So
Right.
you're going to Duke, North Carolina. So I have a theory on this too, and I think I told you about this too. ESPN is so high on Cooper Flagg that I'm pretty sure they have got Cooper Flagg pregnant, right? Because, bro, it is so bad. So Kentucky
hold on.
Duke.
Hold on. I'll add to that.
Dude, I'm telling you, they are so much into this guy. Like, it's creepy, right? So Kentucky beat Duke. What was it? Third game of the season or second game of the season? Whatever, big game, right? Like, so it's big game.
Right, I remember watching because they had them Flag trapped on the baseline. On the corner on the wing. He couldn't get the shot off in time. Right.
Yep, dude folds like a lawn chair, right? Under pressure. Got it. Boom. Yeah. He folds under pressure. First highlights out of that game on ESPN are all Cooper Flagg highlights. Before they even mention Kentucky wins the game. And I knew the whole entire season was going to be like this. And ESPN has not failed me one bit because there is never a day that goes by that they don't mention Cooper Flagg.
Dude, that's always been the case. Like, this is when I knew, even for Cal, it was like, this was too much. Year Carmelo Anthony, 2003, when they led Syracuse to the national title.
Yep.
The first game on network TV was Memphis, Syracuse at Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Opening night, first game of the season. Who wins that game?
Probably, like Syracuse, I don't remember. Like
Memphis won the game.
Oh, okay.
We had a true freshman at the time. His name was Jeremy Hunt. His nickname was Skinny Penny. You can guess why. He was a point guard. Jeremy Hunt was like 6'7", 6'7" point guard. Jeremy Hunt outscored Carmelo Anthony that game. But when we watch Sports Center, everything.
Oh, Carmelo. I'm with you, dude. I am.
Matter of fact, to this day, when they even mention Carmelo and they show a Syracuse highlight, you know what highlight game they show? To this day, it's
say what?
That same Madison Square. I said, but they lost. Revisionist history. They lost, and he got outscored by another dude.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I was like, I'm done. I'm like, this is a fraud.
I'm with you, dude. I'm telling you, man, ESPN. I'm telling you, I think Cooper Flagg's pregnant by ESPN right now. I'm just saying, like it is. It's violent.
Let me see, dude.
Yeah, they're.
I want to see when 6:30. Right, they're the leading on ESPN, and it's at Duke.
Right.
Oh, damn.
But you're like, who cares? It's just because it's Duke, North Carolina. And the bad part, and that's what I'm saying, is like right now, North Carolina is irrelevant. So I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, and for the record,
they're going to play again in 2 weeks.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, in 3 weeks or a month, I should say, or whatever. Yeah.
Duke is number 2 and Kentucky is 12. I think if Arkansas might have had a better record up until this point, maybe.
I still think it's the narrative, though, man. You got Cal coming back to Rupp Arena
Right.
After we're going to call it a mutual split, right?
Yes.
That's what we'll call it. It was beneficial on both sides.
Right.
So I do appreciate Cal for that. Because I mean, he could have taken us to the wood, the woodshed with like what was it,
Yes.
$25 million or something buyout, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but he decided to leave on his own, so good for him. Right.
You
I
know
mean,
what? That's the one thing I will say about Cal, that I think this is where the Cal that I knew, that I worked for,
mhm.
and I think this is because he was just in a different spot in his life, wouldn't have left that money on the table. Oh, you were gonna pay him on this way out. You had to fire him. But I think because he had won the national title, and I think just older now, and just realized, you know what? There's some stuff it's just better just
No, I'm with you, and that's what I said. It was a mutual parting, right? Because the actual grumblings is like he didn't report the contact from uh, Arkansas to Mitch Barnhart or whatever, which would have incurred a huge fine, and like they could have terminated his contract for cause at that point. So when I say it was a mutual and nobody complained and everyone was like, "Cool, bro, like you go do your thing, we're gonna do our thing." I think it was great. I think he
yeah.
did great that one. Right.
Yeah. So now, what do you think of Pope and the job he's done so far?
Listen, getting a guy in there that actually like knows what the program is about was huge. He played there. He won a national championship with Rick Pitino, '96.
Right.
Uh, so
Wasn't there like 8 NBA draft players on that team or
yeah,
something like that?
that was a squad right then. Uh, that was
I remember
they were
playing Mark Pope
ridiculous.
in the video game. I was like, this. I
Dude,
remember
that was
him,
Tony
Pete
Delk,
Chilcutt, and
Antoine
Tony.
Walker,
Oh God.
Walter McCarty, Derek Anderson, Ron
Yes.
Mercer,
Yes.
Anthony Epps, yeah,
I
Wayne
love him.
Turner.
Anderson.
Dude,
Wayne Turner, the steadiest player you ever see point guard a game.
that's what I'm saying. Like that was a squad. That was a squad. But I do like him, man. I like what he's about. I like that he understands the program. He understands what the fans and uh the Big Blue Nation want. We trust me, we all want national championships, but we also want somebody who wants to play for the team also, because we haven't had that in years. We haven't had anybody who wants to play in Kentucky. We have
Right.
people that wanted to go to the NBA.
Right.
So
And there's something to that, because even looking where he came from, BYU, which is no slouch of a program as it is, but it's just that with BYU, if you go into BYU, you're going to BYU. You know you're gonna do the mission trip, the 2 years and all. So there's no, and I think, and that's why I say, for even like an Old Dominion on a lesser end, even though they don't have anything like that, it's something refreshing for somebody who works in the business. When you have kids that kind of get it, they're like, yes, it's a blessing. Yes, it's nice that people pay for my scholarship and boosters and donors and stuff. And then, but at the end of the day, comfortable here. And then, however my career takes, if I get to go pro, great. If I don't go pro at all, and I made a great living for myself, I have a community that I can always come home. I can have, and as some of the, like, for example, I was mentioning earlier, and I didn't finish. I veered off. We veered off. With ODU football, now they are from that first class, and now in the 30s. They're 32, 33. Now they've gotten married, and now they're starting to have kids and stuff. Now they're starting to realize that light cuts on, and they're like, Paul Briggs, we're just so glad to have something that I can point to my kids and say, hey, this was Pops. This is
I
what
was
your
there.
daddy did. I was there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that full circle moment, which is why for the archives and stuff like that, even for some like a video professional, of having those clips and tapes and stuff available to where the kids, I mean, even we got to transcode into TikToks or whatever, what the kids,
Yeah.
they can view it in. But to be able to see, like, hey, this is Pops, because for a lot of them players, they don't want to be forgotten. They want at least to have somewhere you can go, and everybody knows your name, like the cheers thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like now I
But
know in the end, like Kentucky. Carolina, and different ones. Like we just happy to see you come back. Anybody that played,
Well,
but in the schools like Carolina and Kentucky strike me as like, and I saw this happen at the Carolina game. So in Carolina, there's a segment for every game that they have of the 5 national championships. I think Carolina six, five, I forget. They try to have someone from one of those national championship teams at every game, and there's a certain spot that they sit in that the fans, they turn to the camera like in the second half, and they stand up and wave. And so you have the teams. We're happy that you played, but then if you won a national championship, you get put in a different echelon.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Kentucky's no different.
Yeah, well, they do the Y, during halftime or whatever. They'll do the cheerleaders out there, and then it'll be somebody from a national championship team to come out and be the Y at the whatever they're doing it. So it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, because it's one of those things you had to cut above. Because and you're happy that you had a James Young or Alex Pothras, all these cats that played at Kentucky. But I'm sure it's a little bit different when you got Jeff Shepard come in, or Rex won the Rex.
No, he
didn't win.
No, I don't think he did.
He didn't win one. But you see what I'm saying? Or like you said, Walter McCarty come in, or somebody that won the chip. It's like you get put on a different level. And it's like, your Ron Mercers and their engines and all them stuff. Or yeah.
No, yeah. And that's why I say I feel like Kentucky fans, kind of like what we're talking. We appreciate our people that come and play football because we know we're not good at football.
Right.
I'm not saying we're not good. We're not good at football. I guess this is a better way to say it. Mm-hmm. We're just not good. We can't compete in the SEC against Alabama every game, right? We can't do it against Georgia. But those people that come there, they play their hearts out for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unlike basketball, which we've seen over the past 10 years or so, they're really there to step through to the NBA. You might have a couple role players, like you said, Alex Poitras, your James Youngs, that were vital in how good they were. But other than that, that was it, and they just went by the wayside of everybody else. Right. So kind of with you on that one.
Yeah. So and then there'd be people that I would think of like my baby number, I think it was 22. Yeah, no, Alex had the 2 surgeries, I think, right?
Which one?
Oh God, was he the one that had the 2 knee surgeries? There was somebody. Yeah, I think it was Alex Pothras that was going to be the next big thing. 2 years in a row in Kentucky, he had devastating knee surgery, and he didn't even make it.
Yeah, it might have been Poitras, but he went overseas. Yeah,
he went overseas, but he never made it to the NBA. But he was. I remember when he came in, he was going to be that guy. He was supposed to be the guy. Matter of fact, whatever happened to Oscar?
He's
Chichwebe. I know he got picked up by the Pacers, but then he played like once, twice, and I ain't seen Oscar play since. I don't know where Oscar is.
I have, me. Once they go to the league, I'm kind of like they're dead to me, right? Yeah,
he's that guy, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening here to Paul's Paradise Podcast. I'm here with my dear friend, Mr. David Gleaton. Chief Submariner, retired from the day. Now, one of the stories you was telling me off camera before we started was that championship team, the last one. You said you didn't even get to see the game at all. You was underwater.
Yeah, the struggle was real, man. So we were out doing things that we do, in country badland. So I had known that they made the championship. So we'd come up to Periscope depth, and I was able to see. And when I'm talking, this is 2012. So I'm talking, we're out there. So I have Yahoo, the web page open with the scores, no video, right? No video at all. So I was able to get a refresh, right? So I'd seen the game, it tipped off, and it was 4-2. Next thing you know, we went deep. It was probably 9 days later that I found out that they won the championship. No idea. Like we were just doing our dang thing, and that's how long it took me to figure out if they won or not.
Oh my God! I'm sure you had to be on pins and needles.
Oh, it was
It's underwater, and you don't even. Oh,
horrible.
I mean, we thank you. First of all, thank you for your service to the
Oh,
country,
yeah,
and everything you
appreciate
did. But that had to be
bro.
just
And that's what I'm
mind,
saying. So people don't get it. I'm like, the last championship I didn't even get to see, and everyone's like, why are you so angry? I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah.
But think about
So,
other stuff in life. Let's say, for example,
like what?
if your wife, if like say if you had a wife, well, I'm sure if somebody on the ship had a wife and the kid was born, like they didn't even get to see the kid or see, you know what I'm saying, or get to see any picture of the
Doesn't
kid.
matter.
Or,
We're talking about me at this point. That doesn't matter. We're talking about me. I'm
yes,
selfish on this one.
yes, but the fact I can, because I remember living in Greece,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
this was like 88, 89, 90, and I remember all the big stuff like the Super Bowl.
6 o'clock in the morning, you're
No,
getting
no,
up to watch.
no.
Like,
We didn't even.
oh,
We had everything on tape delay. We was on the island of Crete. We didn't even have satellite. We did not get satellite till satellite did not come to the island till the last 3 months. We left June of 1990. Satellite came to the island of March of 1990.
nice.
Even then, we still would have had to see it. Like I said,
Yeah,
Greece was
yeah,
like 6 hours, 7 hours, ahead,
yeah.
7 hours ahead. So we still would have had to get up like 5 in the morning to watch it. I mean, three
I
in the morning to
remember.
watch it.
Yeah, I
But
watched the Super Bowl live, and it was the Rams and
Titans,
somebody else. Yeah, Rams Titans. Over in Crete. It started 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Yeah, it
oh wow!
was great.
It just I just was like, I remember we had our stuff on tape delay. So by the time, and then we had the Stars and Stripes. That was the Air Force newspaper.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
by the time it would get printed in the paper through the wire services, we would know. We wouldn't find out till the next day
yeah.
what happened. And even then, we wouldn't get to see nothing for like almost 3 weeks. Because the stuff would come on tape delay. And then we get to watch it. Because then we only had one channel on base. That was it.
All
If
right,
you didn't like what was
AFN.
on there,
Yeah.
right. If you didn't like what was on it, you just sit there. This is when my grandmother used to record cartoons on the VHS and pack, like record a month's worth of cartoons and then send it to us. So, it was
Yeah,
just, the struggle was real. We didn't even
I'm
have,
with you.
oh God. But
But man,
yes,
them 1900s were rough, man. That's
yes,
what people don't get it.
the 1900s was it was different because I know we're the Gen Xers, so
Right.
it's like, man. Or I know there's been a new term now called Zennial, which
Yeah.
Zennial is supposed to be anybody born from 76 to like 84,
Right,
and they
because we're quote unquote the ones that took on the technology part of it,
they said that
right?
we had
Yeah.
an analog childhood but a
Yeah.
digital adolescence.
Correct. Yeah, that's it.
Because by the
Yeah.
time we got to high school, we had the solar calculators, we had pagers, the
Yeah. Yeah.
beepers, alphanumeric pages. Um, we hadn't gotten the power and singular telephones yet. We ain't quite gotten there yet. But
Well,
we had
we
the
didn't
bad
even have
phones.
computers like back then. Like not in
No,
every house like we do now. I mean,
right, right. Now,
like where I
yes, we
grew
had
up
the
in
computer
Kentucky,
lab.
I'm just saying we didn't have computers in everybody's
We had a
house.
computer lab.
Like,
We had the Microsoft Works. We had the Oregon Trail.
yeah, oh man, I had that
Okay,
in like
okay.
middle
This
school.
is
Yeah.
this is how old we was. I remember my high school. We didn't have mouse. We didn't even have
Yeah.
mice for the computers. Everything
It
had to
was
be keyboard
Arrow.
shortcuts.
Yeah, it
There
was
was no
DOS.
such thing as a mouse. Yes,
Yeah,
there was
yeah, it
no
was
such thing.
DOS. It was
I,
like,
I
yeah,
don't think kids can. I mean, you have the little trackpad and stuff now. You have on your key.
yeah.
But I remember, man. What's a mouse? What is this? You know, and then all
Dude,
the jokes that you could make with mice and oh my god,
dude, so I joined the Navy in '97, right? Got to my first submarine. So the technology on there was like from the '60s at this point, right?
you had to
Um,
do more code and with the
bro,
flag.
yeah, I'll take abacus and stuff, right? Like we're tick, tick, tick. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Man, it was bad, right? So so I went to school. So I was on my first submarine for like 3 years, and I went to school, and it was called C school. It's like an advanced school or whatever. And everyone in the class was like, "You don't have a computer?" I was like, "What's a computer?" You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean a computer at my room or something? And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "No." So they made me build a computer, which
Wow.
which I appreciate. Don't get me wrong, but like, yeah, they took my happy butt down to like flea markets and stuff, where we bought like all the components to build computers,
Oh man.
all
With the
this stuff.
56K and 33.6.
Dude, yeah, yeah, I'll tell you, man, they made like I was so glad they did because I was like a computer idiot. I didn't even know it. Like, how do you even turn this thing on? Like it was bad. It was bad. But
Oh God! Anyway, that
yeah,
so that's back when everything was kind of was more simple. Hard drive, motherboard, RAM and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Monitor.
Because you can go
Nowadays,
buy it all. Yeah.
yeah,
Now you
now,
got video cards that are
yeah,
like worth more than your house.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, and don't mention the gaming computer. Oh no, now it's also the look and how sleek and how
Oh
many
man.
fans. Oh my,
So
I'm
I put a golf simulator in my house, right? Full on golf simulator, could hit real golf balls, all this. So I had to
wow.
buy a computer for it. And it was a gaming computer. And I think it was like $2,500. And I was like, for what? Because of the graphics or whatever. But I was
Right.
like, me, I'm like, why? Like, I just want to hit the ball. But like, yeah, it's totally different, man. Totally different.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our conversation. This is a small synopsis, or maybe it's just last night we would be at Hooters on a Friday night and we'd sit around and talk. That shouts out to all the guys like over all the years of Artie and oh God, what was the Florida State fan?
Rocky?
Um, yeah, Rocky. Where is he at? I ain't seen him.
He's in hiding.
Oh, he's
Like,
not. Oh, okay.
I'll be
Well,
nice to him right
well,
now. This is
well,
PG, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Oh, okay.
he's in hiding. Yeah. So and Rocky and the different ones, all the guys that we was at Hooters and stuff, and yeah, I remember right there off the Military Highway on a Friday night, you might see us o'clock. You might see us. Don't come like 9:30, 10. We be all
Nah,
gone.
that's past our bedtime.
That's all. Especially now we done got older. It's like Lord Jesus. And
Absolutely.
I'm half thinking about what I'm gonna do tomorrow for my birthday because, like I said, I,
Yeah, what are you doing? Happy
I
birthday. I'll give it to you early.
yeah, literally, because I'm out here on the ocean front right now, so
Okay.
I want to drive all the way in. What I have nothing to do. Um, yeah, and then plus I gotta get up early because I have to. I have a game on the first. Old Dominion's playing uh, JMU and women's basketball, and
Whoa.
we have an early call time. Early
Ooh.
call time, yeah. So we got early call time. So it's like even if I did something, there's no way I could stay out late because I gotta. Yeah. So early in the morning. But yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and play the outro, and then and we'll set it up for next month. Next month, I have one or two guests in mind for the podcast that we'll be bringing in. It'll be a musical act. So that for Paul's Paradise, or I'll put payment act. 'Cause one is a musician slash comedian, the other one is musician slash. So that will probably be for next month for February. So we'll see. Just keep the lookout here on this channel, Paul's Paradox Podcast. And thank you all for coming. Dave, you stay on.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'm gonna
Thank
go ahead
y'all.
and play the outro again. Thank you again. Where's my applause? Because I paid money for this. We need. Okay, yes, yes. I'm supposed to play this at the beginning, but I forgot. Man. Oh yeah, we got this. So thanks to Apple Media. Um, we'll have a link to this on the social media platforms as well. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We do not take lightly of your support and everything. And of course, We look forward to seeing you guys next time. All right. Bye bye.
All right. Take care.